How old were you when you first leveraged debt?
So I would say the first property I bought was the first time I leveraged debt.
Mm-hmm.
I was 25 when I bought my first house, and I would say that that's when I started understanding debt a little bit
Right.
more. I've made mistakes too because the background that I have, an immigrant background, we don't understand certain markets, or we're not privy to understanding certain markets. And 2099 was the first time I bought my first house, and all we understand is real estate, right? Because no matter what background you're from, you understand land, you understand home ownership. You could come from, you know, the boonies in Africa or Asia or South American jungle,
Mm-hmm.
but you still understand that you have your own piece and you own it, and that's your
Yeah.
land and that's what it is.
Uh-huh.
So that was the first time I leveraged that, and believe it or not, in the year 99 2000, interest rate was 9.5 on my first
That's
house.
funny.
It was a 9.5, but yet I did not say. And I'll have to tell you
Mm-hmm.
guys. So that house, we paid, I think, 189 for it. We sold it 3 years later in 2003 for 220,000.
Mm-hmm.
In 3 years, we sold it for 320,000.
Yeah. Well, so you bought your first property at 25. I mean, 25-year olds now are Gen Z, but it almost feels impossible for them to invest in real estate and get their foot into the real estate market just because of how everything is going on. So, what would be your big thing for Gen Zers that are wanting to invest but not knowing where to start? Like, what is one thing that they should check on or do besides having like the income? I read this thing and I don't know how true it is, but I looked it up on a couple forums and it said in 2025, a median household needs to make $145,000 a year, or individual needs to make $145,000 a year in order to properly be able to purchase a home comfortably.
That's not necessarily true
Mm-hmm.
because every every part of our country right now, it has a different socioeconomic situation. So housing can range from, I mean, you could buy yourself a trailer park house for
Mm-hmm.
$50,000,
Right.
depending on what part. Maybe, I don't know, Alabama or
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi. I have no idea where.
Yeah.
I only drove through those states. I don't think I was allowed to stay. Um, but South Florida is definitely a little bit more expensive,
Right.
but it's not impossible. It's not impossible because you have to use my three matrix. You have to understand what makes me different from any other financial influencer out there is it is not just the mechanics. Most financial influencer, they're busy teaching you the mechanics. It's like the binge diet. They're
Mm-hmm.
telling you how many calories to count. They're not telling you the value of the calories. They're not telling you that all calories are not equal. So if you have 200 calories from one Oreo or 200 calories from a bowl of spinach, it's two different calories,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you need to understand the motivation. So what is it that you want?
Mm-hmm.
If your goal is to buy a house, so most immigrants come here and their goal is home ownership. We all hear
Yeah.
the American dream is home ownership, right? So if your goal is home ownership, because when my dad came here, his goal was home ownership. That was the thing that we started to work on. Is he wanted to buy a house, and in New York you could buy duplexes.
Right.
So his first house
Mm-hmm.
was, and he bought his first house. We came in 1984, and he bought his first house in 1988.
Wow.
So
In
in
four
4 years,
years.
with three kids and a spouse that
Yeah.
stayed home, he bought his first house. But
Yeah.
mind you, this is the South Bronx, so
Right.
it was not the best
Right.
area. It was not the best house. We were renovating it while we were living in it. It was none of that. But we have to start somewhere.
Right.
So in New York, the best thing is they have the duplexes.
Mm-hmm.
So we had three levels, right? So we had a three-bedroom apartment, a three-bedroom apartment, and a one-bedroom
Yeah.
apartment. And we rented the
The
three
third.
bedroom
Yeah.
upstairs. We rented the one bedroom downstairs, and those two things paid the mortgage.
Right.
So we literally only probably had to pay our light bill
Mm-hmm.
and whatever else, and use the money to renovate the space.
Okay.
So ideally, you don't want to live in a house with other people,
Right.
but you need to start,
Start
somewhere.
somewhere. Right.
So people, because immigrants could not afford to pay their mortgage
Mm-hmm.
themselves, that was one way that they leveraged their finances
Right.
into making it.
Right.
So most immigrants would come here and share a space with someone first.
And you see that a lot where they're sharing space. You know, it's you share the space until you can make it your
Right.
own.